Ladies and gentlemen, here in the audience and those participating virtually, it is my great pleasure to introduce you today to the Secretary General of the African Continental Free Trade Area, with whom, together with the FII, we have signed a historic and unprecedented agreement. We're talking today about counterfeiting and illicit trade and concrete actions that need to be taken to eradicate this disease that exists around the world. Let me give you some perspective of what it actually is. Counterfeiting alone is projected to cost the global economy $4.2 trillion by next year, every single year. That is the equivalent of 2.5 times all of the defense budgets of the world combined. It is somewhere in between the GDP of Japan and Germany. It is a major enabler of corruption. It is a major source of funding of criminal and terrorist activities and disruptive organization, and it costs every year the lives of millions of people. It is a problem that deserves our attention. It is probably one of the most overlooked diseases that we have today, from an economic and from a social perspective. It is a problem that can be solved with technology. It is a problem where solutions already exist, but they're not being aggregated and they don't reach you, the consumer. We are here today in a fast-paced session, as I am told. We're moving fast, and I would like to ask you, Secretary General, the first question. You have a tremendous task on your hand to increase the prosperity, the safety, and the health of your citizens. How do you see the fight against counterfeiting and illicit trade helping you in this mission?
Thank you very much, Hans. First, let me thank the government of Saudi Arabia, the FII Institute, the chairman and the CEO for inviting me and for hosting this event at this time when the world is fighting the pandemic. I think it's very important that we demonstrate resilience, and this is really a very good demonstration of humanity and resilience. The problem that we have on the African continent of counterfeit goods, illicit trade, is tremendous. It impacts on public health. It impacts on the ability of governments to collect revenue. And of course, it displaces local markets, genuine competitors in the local markets. And therefore, we have to take concrete steps to make sure that we mitigate the risk. I don't think, like any other criminal activity, we may never be able to completely eliminate it, but we have to put very, very concrete measures to fight and prevent the spread of counterfeit goods, illicit trade. In the area of pharmaceuticals, up to 30%, if not more, up to 30% of products in pharmaceuticals are counterfeit on the African continent. And this has a very negative effect on public health. It has a negative effect on the economies of African countries. And so I'm very happy that today, as you said, we entered into this arrangement to make sure that we deploy the best technology to fight back against counterfeit and illicit trade.
Thank you, Secretary General. Maybe to illustrate even further how dramatic the problem is, the WHO not too long ago published numbers that over 120,000 people die every year in sub-Saharan Africa just from fake malaria medicine. Yeah. There is absolutely no reason for this to happen. These medicines, they have traceability solutions. They can be traced, they can be verified, they can be authenticated, yet a consumer, a government official, a law enforcement officer, a caretaker, and of course the patient are not able to verify the authenticity of these products. I'd like to ask you, how can the industry help you, Secretary General, to achieve our common goal here?
So what we've done is we have a free trade agreement that reduces barriers to trade on the African continent, and that will result in enhanced movement and transit of goods through the borders. So we've got to take countervailing measures to prevent counterfeit goods and illicit trade. And as I said earlier, the arrangement that we have entered into today takes us, launches that fight back campaign. The private sector is absolutely critical. We cannot do this alone. As governments and as the public sector, we have to partner with the private sector in deploying the latest technology, as you mentioned, tracing, authentication. All of these things are absolutely essential tools for us to fight this scourge, and we cannot do it as just public sector alone. This also affects the private sector, whether it is Pan-African private sector or global private sector. We know that the projections are that by the end of next year, there will be close to $900 billion worth of illicit trade and counterfeit goods transiting through borders. And this is an urgent problem that we've got to tackle together, the private sector and organizations such as ours, which is the AfCFTA Secretariat.
Thank you, Secretary General. I see we're approaching the red zone already, unfortunately, of this wonderful dialogue with you. I would like to join you in congratulating the organizers of this event, the FII, its leadership, also for their courage to allow us and to give us the privilege to be here today, and for the first time for many, maybe in 1 year, to actually be able to have the human interaction that we were able to have here today. My respect, my appreciation for you has grown tremendously, as high as it was already. And I believe that the initiative that we started here to follow the words of the FII need to have an impact on humanity, both social and economic. And I cannot think of a more proactive example on how to do this. So thank you very much, Secretary General, and I'd like to thank everybody for their participation.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.